Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am Gabo the Shaman, and today we're talking about what's going on in Syria. Syria is a topic that's trending on X, and it's it's pretty crazy to say the least. What's going on there right now, and we have a lot of terrorism taking place, which is and by the way, I'm going to be sharing things. They're gonna be blurred, but just if you're very sensitive to these subjects, I would turn this off now. But if not, you want to learn some things and take this journey with me, then I can. I'm happy to inform you as best I can. Okay, so all right, so essentially, going to be starting off with this post from this. Oh wait, from actually from Luke Rutkowski of We Are Change, which is pretty cool. He's a cool dude. I like, following him. He has some good news and stuff. And I know this is like such a off-topic video from what I usually discuss, but some really horrible things are happening in Syria right now, and we're basically funding this stuff. The United States and Israel and other countries, NATO, we're basically funding this. We're giving it the okay, and it's not okay. Uh, Incredible genocide is happening right now in Syria, so this is an attempt to get people's attention and hopefully stir up some change. I mean, who knows what this video can do. So, here we go. Alright, we have Luke Rutkowski from We Are Change, and let's see here. Going to...
Holy freaking cow, be warned, because if you're going on Twitter right now, you're going to see a bunch of horrible videos coming from Syria, all of course paid for by your tax dollars with direct CIA intervention that's bringing us all these moderate rebels that are going after now the minority communities in Syria that Bashar al-Assad used to protect. There's blood on the hands of the Barry Weisses, the John Boltons, the Bushes, and more particularly Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, as this was their larger kind of CIA pet project that they started up under the Barack Obama administration that was going to, of course, bring freedom with modern rebels to the Syrian territory. And there was deliberate attempts by the intel agencies to re-engage, to make Syria the new Libya. Well, guess what? They got their way. They got their failed state. They got the torture. They got the human sacrifice. They got all those gory videos. Is something that, of course, could have been prevented. It was prevented under the first Obama administration when everybody kind of rose up in arms saying, hey, when we did this in Iraq, it didn't work. Did this in Afghanistan, it didn't work. We did this in Libya, it didn't work. Now in Syria, it's a lot more insidious than a lot of people even understand it to be, since the videos that you're seeing right now is what's public. Imagine all the stuff that's not public, not released to everyone, that they're not showing you, as there are human horrors beyond comprehension, slaughters of entire minority communities happening right now. And who's responsible here? The intel agencies, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton. And the way that they pulled this off, because when you look at the kind of ousting of Bashar al-Assad, it happened as soon as Donald Trump won. Now, why did it happen as soon as Donald Trump won political office? Before he got into office, in that in-between time, Biden said, do whatever you want. It's been one of their pet projects for a long time. The CIA went to Donald Trump when he was in office, his first term in 2016, and said, President, we're going to overthrow Bashar al-Assad. Trump said, no, you're not. We're going to go after your moderate rebels, and we're going to bomb them instead of supporting, aiding, and abetting them and spreading global jihadism, as, of course, the same people that are the moderate rebels that all the bleeding heart liberals are all crying for. Those are the same people now chopping the heads off, torturing, making people walk and bark like dogs and abusing them right now. Those are the same people that they want to just walk on into Europe, a part of their multiculturalism, which is just absolutely freaking insane. And the videos you're watching should infuriate you, because as a stamp of approval of all these neocons, neoliberals, bloodthirsty establishment types, the corporate media is responsible here. Don't forget the ousting of Syria that happened right in between that time. As soon as Trump was elected, they went to Trump in the first time. They said, hey, overthrow Assad. Trump said, nope. They did it as soon as he won election, just to show them that this is what we could do. We're seeing it today. It's absolutely horrible.
Absolutely horrible. Yeah. Go ahead and follow Luke Radowski at Luke We Are Change. Hold up. Okay. Go follow Luke at Luke We Are Change on X, and he also has a YouTube channel, so go check him out. I know he's having some problems with the RS right now, so hopefully you can, if you're interested in what he has to offer, join his stuff, All right. And then we're going to go into Sarah Adams. So, TPA Sarah. Now, Sarah Adams, aka Superbad, is an ex-CIA agent and still, she has, she basically operates out of open source and intelligence in order to bring us the news and what these Al-Qaeda, ISIS, Al-Nusra, different terror groups are doing. And she actually was the one that broke that Osama bin Laden's son, is still alive. So that's, it's incredible. So she says here, let me zoom this in a little bit. She says CENTCOM has spent the last month eliminating Abu Muhammad al-Julani's rivals and consolidating power in his favor. A disastrous Syrian policy I've criticized repeatedly. Anyone responsible for these decisions cannot be trusted to lead the fight against terrorism because you're losing. Foot stomp. I mean, yeah, yeah. So essentially, what she's talking about, for context, is al-Julani. That's a guy that basically was basically has Al-Qaeda and ISIS ties, and they just he put a suit on and said, okay, I'm legitimate now, I'm going to be leading the Syrian people, the presidency and whatever. And he's just an ISIS terrorist that we legitimized. And essentially, it's so insane because our tax dollars are going to fund Al-Qaeda. You don't hear about that, but they are. And Israel, there is, Netanyahu said that himself, that he gave basically Al-Qaeda or ISIS arms and weapons and things like that to defeat the Assad regime. Well, the Assad regime was actually, I don't want to say he was a good guy at all because I don't know exactly the full history, but I do know there was some protection in there for Alawite Muslims and the minority ethnic groups in there. So, Syria is composed of various minority groups. So you have the what's called the Druze, Druze, in the kind of like by Lebanon area. Let me see if I could pull pull up a map here. Okay, yeah. I'm trying to be very careful with where I scroll and stuff because there are very graphic images, you know, all around this post, all around all of these things that I'm showing you. And so I might need to use my blur filter here. Yeah. That just shows you what it does. All right. So you can see in the north here, this is where the Yazidis are, or the, what are they called? The Kurdistan Kurds basically are. And they have a group known up here as the YPG or the Yepika. And they are basically the fighting force composed of both women and men, and they actually have origins into like animism, spirituality. So, like, along the lines of what I practice spiritually, which is called animism or shamanism, whatever you want. But yeah, so this is where they live, or along this coast here, or this, along Turkey's edge, which Turkey is not a big fan of these guys, so they've actually, you know, gone and attacked these guys up here where they live, and it, yeah, they're just facing war, invasion, all kinds of stuff from Turkey, because Turkey, I think, wants more land in here. Because of the power vacuum in here, there's a lot of room for people who, for aggression. So if Turkey wants to take this much land, then, they're going to have to invade from the north. That means that the Kurds are going to be in trouble. That mean, so they have a lot of hostility against Turkey. And then on the south here, southwest, we have the, so that's I think Lebanon right there. Yeah, and then we have like around here somewhere is where the Druze are. That group, DRUZ, as well as maybe there. I don't know. This map is hard to read because it's not to scale and the text is like blurry and stuff. Anyway, so yeah, and then this is like main parts of Syria are here and along the coast here. And so yeah, that's just a map just for scale here. And I'm going to turn on my blur filter again, or let me see if I can. I just don't want to. Yeah, so this is another map that people have composed, is like, oh, this is in Russia, so you can see the Al Qaeda symbolism here. And then, let me see. Yeah, I don't know. So this is like, a very liberated area, I guess, would say. Anyhow. But yeah. So let me see here. I'm gonna go ahead and turn on my blur filter just for safety so I don't accidentally show you something really horrible. So there's Sarah Adams. Yeah. She does a lot of great work, Sarah. To just will update us with stuff, and yeah. Okay, so if you just browse down her feed, like, this is the stuff that, that I can't really show you on here. DD Geopolitics just says Not all Alawites, just all Julani terrorist gangs have turned our Syrian Christians and Sunnis as well. Images from the Christian quarter. The West is still silent. Yeah, so, you know, you might think, oh, they're just, killing other Muslims or killing other whatever. And this is like, whatever. So, again, I don't see any college students protesting at their campuses over what the United States is doing. And it really saddens me that Mr. Trump, President Trump, is silent over this. He hasn't said a whole lot about it, you know. But this is just what's happening, you know. It's really sad to see. Hold on. Sorry. Gotta silence this thing. Okay. Alright, so yeah, I mean Christians are being murdered. All kinds of I mean they really don't care. It's just ethnic cleansing, genocide. It's really awful stuff. I mean, they have mass graves, they have, all kinds of crazy crap going on. It's really awful. I saw a video last night of, just this kid, this little girl or boy, I really couldn't tell, but, just just getting shot, It's really awful. Yeah. That's the stuff that can scar you for life. And I mean, these people are living this. Like, this is just bodies. And then, yeah. So you can see someone standing over them. It's really awful. I mean, Sarah has a lot of stuff here. So yeah. I mean, they've even had to take down imagery. This stuff is really crazy, and to see that, it's one thing if it happens naturally, if ISIS is formed, and then we have their own terrorist actions of their own volition. That stuff, I mean, it happens and it's sad, but it's one thing for that to happen, and it's another thing for us to be actively supporting it. I mean, lending our a hand to make that happen. It's just wrong. Okay. So, let's see. Oh yeah, this is another video. It's about these guys shooting up this apartment or so. I don't know. I don't know what exactly it is. I think they're using tracer rounds, so that's why that's lighting up. Anyway, it's just like insane, you know? Let's see, I think I can unblur this.
Including within, we will engage with all Syrian groups.
Christians are being slaughtered in Syria right now. Biden regime to blame. If you recall, Joe Biden told the American people that this new government was going to serve all Syrians. He even sent them humanitarian aid. People need to go to prison. Yeah, he should go to prison, in fact. Like, he's the one that did it. What the fuck?
We will engage with all Syrian groups, including within the process led by the United Nations, to establish a transition away from the Assad regime toward independent, sovereign, independent, I want to say it again, sovereign Syria with a new constitution, a new government that serves all Syrians. And this process will be determined by the Syrian people themselves. And the United States will do whatever we can to support them, including through humanitarian relief to help restore Syria after more than a decade of war. We will engage with all Syrian groups, including within the process led by the United Nations, to establish a transition away from the Assad regime toward independent, sovereign, independent, I want to say it again, sovereign Syria with a new constitution, a new government that serves all Syrians. And this process will be determined by the Syrian people themselves. And the United States will do whatever we can to support
that clearly
them,
wasn't
including through
the case.
humanitarian relief to help restore Syria after more than a decade of war. We will engage with all Syrian groups.
Okay. Yeah, that's just sad to see. And yeah, I can't I'm gonna have to blur stuff. But yeah, and then this this is a little, yeah. Says waiting for students to occupy college campuses to protest the ethnic cleansing in Syria. Yeah, it's just like, where is it? You know, oh, they'll protest like for Palestine or whatever, but yeah, not this, not this. Anyhow, yeah, this is another terror video. Julani's terrorists in Syria kidnapping civilians while massacring hundreds of others. But nobody cares. I'll leave that last one for the... yeah. Oh yeah, so this is another thing that I wanted to go through. That one I cannot show you. But... yeah. Anyway. So it's not important, really. I can show you other things. Okay, I'm gonna turn this off. So this is another great account to follow. This is Kareem Francesi, something like that. Anyway, thread. And all across the land, men looked up, and in the sky they saw dragons coming. They knew their doom. Let's see. What is that? Hold on. So let me see here. Yeah. Dramana. Might have been a meaningless Damascus subdistrict, a citadel nobody ever heard of, as unknown as the Druze Brigade bearing its name. Standing in its defense, but not anymore. The self-crowned president may have just set his throne ablaze, trying to take it by force. 1 century ago, European diplomats carved arbitrary lines across the Middle East. Today we call them the Sykes-Picot borders. We pretend these lines are sacred while ignoring the people forced to endure decades of war, displacement because of them. People like the Druze of southern Syria. Today those borders mean little to the fighters of Tiramana, where Druze gunmen refused to surrender their districts to the Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, HTS. This is the, the Syrian army or whatever they're calling it, the new government or whatever, the new rulers of Damascus. The battle isn't just over a neighborhood, it's about survival in a country that has erased so many minorities before them. Indeed. And you can see, like, there's battles here, along these corridors and stuff. There's a highway that goes along the coast and along like here. And they said that they were facing heavy resistance in those areas, and for the Druze and things. So, and there's actually a video that I saw online of these guys, the HTS forces, using an airplane to drop bombs on these cities and towns. And then, okay, let's see. 2. The Druze have a long history of resisting central authority and jihadist groups like al-Nusra, HTS's previous name, or ISIS. To outsiders, they are a Syrian minority. To jihadists, they are heretics. When the world insists that the Druze accept Syrian unity under their would-be executioners, it's absurd. Should we really ask them to live under those who once labeled them as murtadin, apostates, and called for their extermination? And this is, I guess, trying to figure this out. I don't know where this comes from, so... Oh, it's, let's see... I guess Wikipedia or something. I don't know. Maybe counterterrorism.com? I don't know exactly. So it says... Finally, for the case of Jabhat al-Nusra, treatment of religious minorities in Syria. They say annual international religious freedom reports were used to gather factual information on the group's stance and actions. In general, these reports corroborate and support one another in offering a picture of abuse and harsh treatment by al-Nusra against any religious group that did not follow its strict rules and its version of Islamic law. Specifically, the reports outline a violent streak of al-Nusra against members of religious minority groups with actions such as killings, arrests, torture, kidnappings, and systematic destruction of religious sites. The religious groups in question include Shia Muslims, Alawites, Druze, Christians, and even Sunni Muslims. The grounds of justification for these actions include the case of attacks against Shia Muslims to be reactions to the government's resources of Sunnis, or government's massacres of Sunnis. In the case of Druze and Christians, attacks are committed on the grounds of them being labeled as infidels or supporters of the Assad regime. And the case of Alawites, the attacks are justified by al-Nusra's belief that government policy favored Alawites. So they're really creating excuses to persecute other religions just because they don't like them or they don't fit into their own. You know, it's the same, you know, no. It's the same, what is it called? It's like where you have a fear of anything that's different from your own, um, your own set of beliefs and religion and things like that. Anyway, so let's see here. Furthermore, al-Nusra is reported to have engaged in indoctrination campaigns of children and youth in the areas they controlled with their strict Salafi jihadi interpretation of Islam in these territories, but their deviated from this version of Islam was targeted for arrest and killing, while Druze, Alawite, and Christian civilizations were forced to convert to Islam or risk being detained and killed. Yeah, so really horrible stuff here, guys. Like, yeah, I would not want to live in a country like that with, you know, basically ISIS taking control. And let's see here. Yeah, I can't scroll down further. 3 right now. The Druze in Jarmana have been overrun by HTS controlled security force. Again, that's propaganda. Security force. You know, these aren't security forces. These are Al-Qaeda terrorists. Let's see here. Security forces that sent Sunni fighters to force submission. So far, 1 Druze gunman was killed, 9 others wounded, but reinforcements from Suwaida are on the way. Let me do this. Okay. Alright. There we go. 4. Now a new power enters the equation, Israel. Israel media reports that Netanyahu has ordered the IDF to prepare an intervention in Jarama, saying that we will not allow the extremist Islamic regime in Syria to harm the Druze. That's good. And that's actually good. Israeli social media has already circulated maps showing intentions of creating a buffer zone inside Syria. That's good. You know, so there it is, Israel, you know, going in. Oh wow, they're gonna take a lot of territory. That's insane. Wow. So we have Druze here and Druze here. So I would imagine like all this area would be like buffered. Well, that's insane. You know, well, I have mixed feelings about this just because it was Israel even said that, I think we talked about that earlier on this program, that basically, you know, they impaired the Assad regime by empowering basically al-Nusra and Julani's forces, by, giving them weapons or whatever they did to empower them. And now they're actually fighting them. So that's insane. It's like, okay, well, like, yeah, they shouldn't have created the problem to begin with, but I mean, come on. And also another thing, back when Syria and Iraq was full of ISIS people, the ISIS invasion, we actually armed the Yazidis, the what's it called, the Kurdish people in the north of Syria. We actually armed them and gave them air support so that they could fight ISIS. And now that they're gonna have to do the same thing with these forces too, because they're basically the same thing. They're basically Al Qaeda, basically, ISIS. Just have a new name and a new identity that doesn't remove them from their true, their history. So, I mean, once a terrorist, always a terrorist, in my opinion. I mean, so, I'm glad that Israel is stepping up and doing the right thing. It's just pretty. I mean, it's just like too late, Anyway, it's like too little, too late kind of thing, because, yeah. Anyway, this will be cool to see, like, the Druze with Israel acting as a joint force to go take out Al Qaeda and ISIS, or shall I say Al Julani. So yeah. And then let's see here. I'm gonna turn on my thing here. Oh, actually, let's see here. Oops. Quickly scroll past. Okay. Not sure. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, I just have to be really careful with showing this imagery, guys. So anyway, Karim Franceski continues. If Israel's lifeline offer is welcomed by the local community, well, why demand that the Druze continue risking extermination under a terror group? We've seen what happens to unprotected minorities. Kurds in northern Syria were driven from their homes by Turkish-backed militias. Yazidis in Sinjar were left to die. The world barely blinked. Yeah, that's right. And I remember hearing about these people, these brave people, back when they were fighting ISIS. And man, like, if I didn't have the limitations I do with my disabilities and stuff, I would be like, sign me up. I want to go over there, because they had plenty of Americans. Like, they had like quite a few Americans go over there to help protect them, especially, ex-soldiers, ex-army, all the stuff. And even with like medics, there's a documentary on YouTube about these like medically trained people who basically spurred on that basically taught the Yazidis, the YPG, to have like a medical team within every unit, so that way their trauma injuries could be treated immediately and they won't have to like bleed out or die, and so that actually saved a lot of lives, so yeah, man, this stuff is heavy, and so number 6 here, Antonio Gutierrez tweets Syria's sovereignty must be restored, all aggression must end. Indeed, but does the UN just mean the old Sykes-Picot lines again? Where was this energy when Turkey-backed factions ethnically cleansed Afrin? Where is the condemnation when HTS rolls into a city and plays government? Borders being little when people under them have no security. And here's the Antonio Gomez thing. Oh, Gutierrez, I guess. Anyway, he says, in the occupied Syrian Golan, there should be no military forces in the area of separation other than UN peacekeepers, period. Syria's sovereignty, territorial unity, and integrity must be fully restored, and all acts of aggression must come to an immediate end. I agree, but it's like you have all these. Oops. Ooh, damn. Jeez. Okay. So yeah, you have all this, all these people groups, these different cultures, the different religions, all living together, and it becomes really hard to, I guess, I don't know. I mean, personally, I think if they left it up to the native groups that were there and didn't introduce terror groups, I think those people would have a much easier time living together. I don't think that they natively war with each other in the way that ISIS or Al-Qaeda, Al-Nusra, Al-Julani war with others, because they're like an outside force. They're not native to Syria. I mean, most of these people were recruited for ISIS that basically were throughout the Middle East, joining factions throughout, so you could have someone from Saudi Arabia or Afghanistan or Iraq or Qatar or wherever, but then they join these factions and say, okay, we're now the local government in Syria. No, that's not how that works, or is supposed to work. It's just silly. Like, anyway, so number 7, HTS seized Damascus, claiming it to be a government, but we've seen this before. Mosul, Raqqa, Marawi, Jihadist regimes don't bring stability; they bring destruction. Exactly. Now Netanyahu is weighing intervention with Israeli forces just 60 kilometers from Damascus, an hour's drive. Okay. Yeah. So let's see. So we have Israel over here. Yep. And what is this? Oh. Interesting. And I saw Raqqa firsthand. My battalion fought street by street to support to uproot ISIS. We called in coalition airstrikes, watched entire districts crumble. The jihadis bragged of a caliphate, yet all they accomplished was to invite the dragons of air power, incinerating the city. Wow. Now we may watch the same script with HTS and in Damascus if their rule lasts, and they're allowed to entrench themselves more. It will only bring more ruin. Yeah, guys. Yep, I agree. Okay. Just making sure we don't have any craziness here. Okay, here we go. So here is the map that I got from Syrian Girl that is, a little bit better with the text quality. So we have Turkey on the top. We have the state of Aleppo. And this is basically where the Yazidis are. State of Damascus. This is the Druze state. And Lebanon, Israel. Interesting. And I guess, yeah, so this area is where they were bombing. This is where most of the Alawites are. Although they're, from my understanding, they're in Damascus, they're in other places, but this is like the major concentration. And so you have these natural territories, these natural, just areas where different groups reside. And, I really don't think they would be warring with each other. I think that we could have a lasting peace if we just left them alone and got the jihadists out of there, get them out of there, and then maybe we can, it's like, oh, everyone says, oh, this is much better than having to deal with Al Qaeda, which goes under different aliases and stuff. Anyway, I'm going to turn this back on. Oh wait, yeah, that's in a different language. Yep. All right. So, going to turn on back my Blurify. And, yeah, guys, so I guess that's it, really. I mean, there's just so much horrific stuff going on. I mean, there's some videos that you can see like mass graves and stuff like that. It's just so nasty, dude. They're having these people crawl on their hands and knees and bark like dogs and crap like that. I mean, they're really subjugating these people, man. It's really horrible and awful to see. Like, and these are all like at gunpoint, you know, it's like really awful. Oh yeah, Tulsi Gabbard is. This is really. Oh well, I don't know that that's the clip, but Tulsi Gabbard basically said we need to fix the situation in Syria. Tomorrow, when you go to church, let's see how many pastors and preachers speak about the genocide of Christians in the world. I wonder how many of them mention the hundreds of Christians being slaughtered in Syria or the thousands killed in the Congo. Indeed. Yeah. And you know, this is why it's such a big issue to me, is because I think I told you guys that, you know, when back when ISIS had control of the territory, I learned about the Kurdish people and, you know, the Yazidis and YPG and about their religion, about their, you know, how they had like an army full of women, like even though they had like men there too, the women were super brave and actually great snipers and things like that. You know, women tend to be great snipers. And you know, it's just like so admirable that, you know, they're fighting for their homeland, they're fighting for their territory, for, you know, to protect their families and children against people who want to do them harm and defending themselves from terrorists, you know. So like, yeah, there's just some awful videos. Oh, let's see. Here we go. Yeah, this is a good video. Let me unblur it.
Jake Sullivan said to Hillary, I have no love for Assad or Gaddafi or any dictator. I just hate Al-Qaeda. I have no love for Assad or Gaddafi or any dictator. I just hate Al-Qaeda. I hate that we have leaders who cozy up to Islamist extremists, minimizing them to so-called rebels. As Jake Sullivan said to Hillary Clinton, quote, Al-Qaeda is on our side in Syria. Well, Syria is now controlled by an Al-Qaeda offshoot, HTS, led by an Islamist jihadist who danced in the streets on 9/11 and who was responsible for the killing of many American service members. I have no love for Assad or Gaddafi or any dictator. I just hate Al-Qaeda. I hate that we have leaders who cozy up to Islamist extremists, minimizing them to so-called rebels. As Jake Sullivan said to Hillary Clinton, quote, Al-Qaeda is on our side in Syria. Well, Syria is now controlled by an Al-Qaeda offshoot, HTS, led by an Islamist jihadist who danced in the streets on 9/11 and who was responsible for the killing of many American service members. I have no love.
Yep. Man. Yeah. That's why, I'm happy. I'm so delighted that she is director of national intelligence, because, yeah, it's just crazy. So, and she's done it. She's experienced the stuff firsthand. Yep. I'm not sure if I can scroll down on that video or that, image, so I'm gonna blur it. Oh, yeah, I was right. Yep, so gross. Just bodies. Ugh. Kills me to see this, man. It's horrible. But, I feel like, my mind tells me to look away from this stuff. But it's like, well, Syrians can't look away. Their whole families are, oh God, their families are being killed and all this stuff, and it's just insane, They can't look away. They can't, minimize it. They can't, turn off the TV, turn off the internet. It's right there in their face. Like, they're being faced with these murderers that want to kill them. It's so evil, man. So depraved. Yeah, it's so. Oh, God. Yeah. They're being abused like crazy. And so, you might be watching this video saying, okay, Vince, like, what can I do about it, though? I'm in America. I have a, safe, cozy, comfy bed and home, and, you know, and just like, just write your congressman. Just write your House of Representatives, your Congress, your senators, It doesn't take much just to voice your concerns, just to let them know that you're concerned about this, that you're thinking about it. I mean, you don't have to have the best writing skills. Just write them. Just say, "Hey, this is a concern." Um, you know, because you know, I mean, Trump basically, I think he wiped out ISIS like the most that he possibly could. But I mean, they're still around and they're still, doing stuff, and this is like their off branch and whatever. So, yeah, not. Oh God, that's awful. So, just wanted to make you aware of this, and it's just like, yeah. Anyway, so awful. Anyway, guys, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video somewhat. I mean, just to learn about what's going on in here, the awful atrocities and stuff. And like, I know that I use, I laugh inappropriately. That's just my own kind of defense mechanism stuff. And, my apologies. But yeah, it's just like, I don't know, man. This stuff is so harsh, so intense, and it's just like, ugh, don't want to deal with it. But anyway, yeah, so I hope you got something out of this, and we will talk to you later. Peace.